Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Let's do it, boys. And girls. Guys, I don't care what's in between your legs, alright? I promise you. Preemptive, like, Royal Marines trained to be mountain ghosts in brutal Arctic terrain. Too cool of a title for me not to click on it. Original link, top description, Discord link.
The UK Commando Forces training in the Arctic Circle.
We're dealing with two enemies out here. The enemy, the actual enemy, but also the terrain and the environment. We're trying to be mountain ghosts. We're trying to disappear in this terrain, and that means that we've got to be good at operating in the environment. We've got to be good at blending into the environment. We've got to be good at maximising the terrain, using the terrain and the weather conditions to our own advantage, and that's why we're out here now.
Guys, just, yeah, I wanted to make sure I'm in frame here. Okay, sorry.
4-5 Commandos, supported by Commando Logistic Regiment and other parts of the UK Commando Forces in Norway, undertaking preparations for the Norwegian-led military exercise Joint Viking, which involves thousands of military personnel from NATO allies and partner nations. The aim of Joint Viking is to make sure Norway can be defended and troops can operate in the harsh and unforgiving environment. And with the war in Ukraine, it makes this training even more relevant.
It's very difficult sometimes when people talk about Russia. It seems so very far away, and it's difficult to understand how you'd even begin to protect us. But actually, it's been really critical to understand how important Norway is in terms of protecting the Atlantic. And I think it's also really good to understand how important it is for Norway and our allies to know that we are here and that we are absolutely committed to having a persistent and sustained presence here.
As part of Joint
Guys,
Viking,
I have time to
Yankee
ask a question or make a point. So I always think, you know, if you are in NATO, right? If Russia and NATO get into a war, it will be a nuclear war. You know, and so the idea of doing exercising to defend a NATO country, my first thought is like that seems sort of useless because in what scenario is there going to be conventional warfare between Russia and a NATO country? Well, that'll immediately mean nuclear war, would it not? Because you're not just going to give up your capital. But at the same time, I realize that just like with the British military spending video from Mark Felton that it was going too low, is that simply training and showing that you're capable in this area and you know and you're not overlooking this area and you have training and money going into it and all this expertise, I think is a important thing in and of itself as like a cover, more so than just getting ready for. Does that make sense? Like it's a psychological thing.
Persistent and sustained presence here.
As part of Joint Viking, Yankee Company from 4-5
I feel like I made
Commando
no sense
Marine.
there.
As part of Joint Viking, Yankee Company from 4-5 Commando Royal Marines provide strike teams. Strike teams are small groups of Royal Marines who can work deep in enemy territory, carrying out a range of missions. They'll work primarily alongside the Dutch in a simulated battle scenario.
And Joint Viking is our opportunity to showcase what we can do in the advanced space, forward of the main body of forces, and how we prepare to fight in this type of environment is crucial to how we can succeed on operations.
And it's that preparation that's key. Yankee Company will mainly be providing reconnaissance for the Dutch strike teams, which means gathering information, often deep in enemy territory, which can mean travelling hundreds of miles through the ice and snow. And that journey could start like this. Merlin helicopters from Commando Helicopter Force provide the initial lift and drop-off point. And then the Royal Marines could travel by vehicle and then ski into their tactical position.
Who's that Finnish sniper in World War II? Is it Simo or Simo Hayek? I forget. It just reminds me of that.
Royal Marines can also use over-snow reconnaissance vehicles or skidoos to travel long distances. They need to carry kit and equipment like fuel and water so they can stay out for extended periods of time, detached from other troops. It takes 2 weeks for military personnel to learn how to drive a skidoo. They can go 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 3 seconds. But of course, it's not just about being able to drive it. It's then adding on that tactical element too.
Question, guys.
So you got.
Have you ever? Obviously, you've eaten snow. Hopefully, not yellow snow. But this is gonna sound so stupid. But I've been curious what rainwater tastes like, and so during a rainstorm, I let out a cup in the middle of a patio outside to collect rainwater. I didn't want to collect it like coming off the roof. That'd be nasty, but just straight from the air, however much it can fill up. And I tasted it, and it tasted just like snow. And now you're thinking, no crap, snow is frozen water. I get that, but I didn't expect it to taste exact. Anyways, my question. Anyone maybe in the military or something who's been in this conditions or been trained for the snowy conditions, if you are warm enough and don't have to worry about being hypothermic by eating too much snow, do you even need a water bottle? And if you don't, if you lose it or whatever, and you're warm enough, can't you just eat snow? That's my question.
You've got to select your route. You've got to plan it well ahead. You've got to plan, right, what sort of kit am I taking? How skilled are the drivers? Are we going to be able to get through and move through this environment safely, mainly, but also tactically? So you've got to put in deception as well, because obviously in this environment, your tracks aren't covered unless you get some big, heavy snowfall, and you can't always rely on that. So you've got to plan well ahead. You've got to put in deception tracks so it will make it look like you're going off another way. This can take a lot of planning. It takes a lot of time as well. You just got to make sure that wherever you're going, you don't just have a direct track straight to it. So if that means you're going to have to go off a couple of kilometers a certain direction, go back on yourself, try and deceive it as well, it's tricky. But once you start getting towards our objective, we'll cache the OSRVs, the skidoos, so you won't just take the skidoo straight to your objective, because obviously the noise of them gives you away as well. So that's when we'll move on to skis, and then we'll ski into our position. But then deception will come into that as well. So you've got to put in the deception plan of skiing and creating different tracks, different routes. A lot to plan out.
As the UK Commando forces continue to innovate and develop, they are experimenting with vehicles like skidoos and testing what more they can be used for, like resupply of munitions and equipment. It's making sure troops can work to their full potential to complete whatever tasking comes their way. Experimenting with new ways of working in Norway goes hand in hand, practicing tried and tested methods to make sure the UK Commando forces...
Oh, question, guys.
Goes hand in hand, practicing...
What are the 3 barrels for? Obviously, the top one is where the bullet comes out. But what are these, this one, and then this one? This one might not even be a barrel. It might just be like a knob. Is that like a flashlight?
Tried and tested methods.
Or maybe like a laser point?
Experimenting with new ways of working in Norway goes hand in hand, practicing tried and tested methods to make sure the UK Commando forces are as lethal and capable as they can be. Royal Marines from Armoured Support Group are training with their Viking vehicles on the 7.62 machine guns and the .5 machine gun. As part of Joint Viking, their role will be pivotal.
So what's going on behind me right now is the guys are lined out in what is a fire support position, and they're laying fires onto different targets, and one person will be commanding that. And it's important that the lads get these drills down, because these are the guys that are going to be supporting the strike teams and actually bringing fires onto, right now, targets or in the real world, enemy. The Royal Marines are the only people that have this asset. We're the only people that have the ability with a Viking to move commandos with commandos into position and then move off that position and actually give them fire support.
Which is why this training is so important across the commando force, making sure all components can carry out their objectives and are ready to operate in the high north.
Year on year we get new commandos through, so the training is vital. It's really important that for young Marines coming through, they get the training, so we maintain the capability as Arctic soldiers within the Royal Marines. At present, the Royal Marines within UK forces are pushing boundaries in terms of Arctic training. For young Marines coming through, they get the training, so we maintain the capability as Arctic soldiers within the Royal Marines. At present, the Royal Marines within UK forces are pushing boundaries in terms of Arctic training. We're the only guys that do it consistently. We come out here every year and train in this environment.
Not just surviving, but
Marines.
fighting and working in the Arctic is a skill like no other, requiring determination and stoicism. Joint Viking provides the practice troops need to stay at the forefront of winter warfare.
We have a huge amount of capability, and what we're doing out here is trying to figure out how best to use that and use it to maximum effect.
Bryony Williams, Forces News, Norway.
Super cool video. But guys, all you have to do to protect Scandinavia from Russia is to just train a bunch of Finnish soldiers and then put them out in really white clothing. All right, Finnish snipers, and then tell them to put snow in their mouths to cover their breath, and then just shoot any Russian that comes in. Works. I think it's Simo Hayek. Yeah, I was close. Simo Hayek. Or Haya? Simo Haya. Sorry. Beast. All right, love y'all. I hope I didn't say anything too dumb. Sort of my thing. But if you could answer any of the questions or tell me I'm wrong wherever I was wrong, really appreciate it. I hope you guys are all doing well. Chin up. Look at me. Chin up. Emotions are fickle. If you're not doing well. If you are doing well, get out of here. You're good. If you aren't, stay in there. All right. Bye, guys.